Hey guys, welcome to Best Movie Recap. Today I am going to explain a 2003 American science fiction movie called Daredevil. Warning. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Today's movie starts with a lonely, shy, and weak little boy named Matt Murdock, who is often abused and bullied by boys in his neighborhood. He usually runs away from fights because his father told him that. He goes back home to find his father Jack Murdock, an ex-boxer, drunk and sleeping. After waking him up, Matt tells him, "I know that you are working for the local mobster Fallon." But his father smiled, then says, "If I was truly working for him, we wouldn't be here." After that, he reminds Matt to focus on his education to make something of himself and not wind up like him. One day after school, Matt decided to visit the place where his father works to show him his result and the good marks he got. But there, the manager tells him that his father got fired from this job few months ago and he is no longer working here. Matt gets sad and throws the final exam score paper on the ground. While going back home from a shortcut, he stumbles across his father beating up a man at the behest of Fallon. Horrified, Matt runs blindly away from the scene and runs afoul of a forklift which swerves to avoid him and accidentally pierces a barrel of toxic fluid, drenching Matt's face in the substance. Later on that day, Matt wakes up in a hospital where all of his senses are heightened and he discovers a sixth sense, a bat-like radar sense that allows him to see without his eyes. His father joins him inside to inform him of the bad news, but before saying anything, Matt stops him and said, "I heard all your conversations with the doctor. I'm now blind." Then he hugs his father. During the next days, while Matt trains his body to fully use his new abilities and his radar sense, his redeemed father, who feels responsible for his son's accident, decides to train to be able to fight again in the ring. While Matt was walking in the street, he stumbles again with the boys who used to bully him. He tried to ignore them and continue on his way, but they stopped him and started to mock him. A fight followed between Matt and the bullies, where he punishes and kicks them all together using his new abilities and skills. One night, before a match, Fallon approaches Jack and orders him to lose the fight, otherwise, he will be killed and Matt will grow up alone. Jack thinks a little bit, then he goes to the ring with his son. The fight starts between the two boxers, and after a few punches Jack falls down, but Matt supports him and yells for him to get back on his feet again. Jack goes back to the fight and easily won it for his child because after Matt had his accident, Jack told him to never give up. The match was over, and while Matt was waiting for his father to come out, he heard someone being beaten to death by several people. He runs to the place and finds his father's corpse on the ground. While crying, he finds a red rose on his body. At this moment, the young Matt promises to fight for justice. Many years later, Matt Murdock becomes a lawyer by day, and at the night he fights crime under the name of Daredevil, whom the press dubbed as the man without fear. He exercises his own justice in Hell's Kitchen, going so far as to kill those who have been wrongfully acquitted. Going back to the courtroom, Matt was defending an innocent woman named Angela who got raped and beaten by Quesada. Matt used his radar sense while Quesada was talking and realized that he was lying and that all what Angela said was right. He tells him, "I hope that justice will be found here today before justice finds you," but because there wasn't enough evidence, Quesada goes free. Later on that night, Matt goes home and wears his suit, then he visits Quesada in the bar where he usually stays in. Matt finds him, and a fight started between him and Quesada's crew, but due to his power and the training he did, Daredevil manages to beat them all together. Quesada takes advantage of the distraction and runs out into a nearby tunnel. Matt follows him, and by using his radar sense he finds his location, but before killing him, he heard so much noise coming from the train which forced him to fall down. Quesada takes advantage of that and points his gun at him, but Matt, with a quick move, throws him on the railway. Then Quesada is killed by a train. After a few hours, the police come to the crime scene and they start gathering evidence. Meanwhile, a journalist investigator named Ben Urich starts asking questions about Daredevil, but the detective only makes fun of him and said there is no proof that Daredevil is involved nor that he even exists. After that, Urich picks up a cigarette and throws it on the ground, and suddenly the sign of Daredevil shows up. The next morning, While Matt was having lunch with his best friend Franklin Nelson, he sensed the coming of a beautiful woman. He pretends to be looking for the honey, and then he introduces himself to her. But she refuses to tell him her name, then she left. Matt goes after her, and after a few steps he finds her waiting for him in a park. The woman didn't believe he is blind and ordered him to stop following her. While she was leaving, Matt grabbed her hand, then a dramatic fight followed. The woman is strong, and she masters martial arts. All the children in the park watch the fight, which ends up with her winning. Then she tells him that her name is Elektra Natchios. Before leaving, Matt asks how can he find her. She replied, "You can't, but I will find you." Meanwhile, Kingpin the crime lord kills 2 of his guard because he suspects they give some information about him to the press. After that, he meets Elektra's father Nicholas Natchios, and Kingpin decides to implicate Nicholas and make it appear that he is the crime lord. On the other side, Matt goes back to his job and finds another client looking for someone to defend him. After using his radar sense, he knows that this person is innocent, so he accepts to defend him. Meanwhile, Kingpin decides to call his favorite assassin Bullseye, a notorious killer known for never missing a target. Bullseye was having fun in a local bar, but before leaving he killed a man just because he calls him trash. Going back to the courtroom, Matt was defending his client, but there was a witness who said that Matt's client is guilty, and Matt didn't feel he is lying, and he got confused. Later on that night, Matt looks for the witness, and after talking with him, he realized that this person did surgery on his heart, and because of that he couldn't sense when he was lying. He gets angry and destroyed the witness's car. While he was going back home, he sensed the presence of Elektra, who was following him. The two start talking, and then Matt tells her, "It is going to rain, can you stay a little bit more, because in the rain I can see with my eyes." For the first time, Matt sees the beautiful face of Elektra. The next day, Matt received an invitation to a party in a hotel recently bought by Elektra's father. He goes with his friend, and there he meets Kingpin for the first time. Kingpin asks Matt to work for him, but Matt refuses and said, "I work only for innocent people." After that, Matt sees Elektra and asks her for dancing. Kingpin surprised his partner Nicholas Natchios, and after a small conversation he gives him a red rose and left. Nicholas gets terrified and decides to leave the party and took his daughter with him. Matt sensed that something is going wrong, so he follows her car to make sure it doesn't run into any danger. At this moment, Bullseye comes on a motorcycle and kills the 2 drivers of the limousine, but before killing Nicholas, Daredevil shows up, and a fight started where Matt made Bullseye miss something for the first time in his life. During the fights, Bullseye manages to steal Matt's weapon and uses it as an arrow to kill Elektra's father. Matt tries to catch it, but he couldn't because of the noise. Elektra saw Daredevil there, and she thought that he is the one who executed her father. Later on, Ben Urich discovered the identity of Daredevil after seeing the weapon used in the crime of Nicholas, which was really unique, and he saw it with Matt that day at the party. Determined to take her father's revenge, Elektra pursues the vigilante. She finds him on the city rooftops, and a fight starts between the two, where Elektra was trying to kill him, and Daredevil was only holding back his blows. She manages to stab him in his shoulder, and before killing him, she takes off his mask and gets shocked after discovering the face of the man she loves. Elektra then finds herself face to face with her father's real assassin Bullseye, who has arrived on the scene. Daredevil tries to hold her back, knowing that the killer is truly strong and he may kill her. But Elektra refuses and goes for the fight. Matt is forced to watch the fight helplessly with his radar sense as Bullseye takes the upper hand and kills Elektra by using her own weapon. Then he throws a red flower at her and escapes. Just before the police come, Daredevil enters the church intending to recuperate and recover his strength. Unfortunately, Bullseye tracks him down, and the two battle ferociously across the church, with Bullseye gaining the upper hand after discovering Daredevil's weakness to loud sounds. He manages to knock the air out of Daredevil, then he raises a jagged metal pipe to kill him. Using his prodigious hearing, Daredevil hears the rifle of a SWAT officer. He times it so that his bullet fires horizontally through both of Bullseye's hands, incapacitating him. After that, Daredevil violently throws the assassin through the church window and watches him plummet to the ground with grim satisfaction. Daredevil then goes to the Kingpin's headquarters for a climactic battle. Kingpin turns out to be a powerful fighter. He overpowers Daredevil, who was already wounded throughout most of the fight, and eventually unmasks him. Daredevil loses sight of Kingpin and bursts a pipe so that the rushing water would allow his radar sense to see his enemy. He manages to defeat Kingpin and brings the tyrant to his knees, but before delivering the final blow he contemplates what it means to be a hero and offers Kingpin a sardonic smile as he awards him his life. Then he informs Kingpin that he is aware that he won't be imprisoned indefinitely. After that, Matt orders Kingpin to stay out of Hell's Kitchen. When Kingpin threatens to reveal Daredevil's identity, Matt taunts him in return with the fact that Kingpin got beaten by a blind man, which would make him the laughingstock of the underworld. The next morning, Matt goes back to his normal life and gets freedom for his client, who was sitting in jail for a crime he didn't commit, while Kingpin shows up in a prison with a look of anger in his eyes. On the other side, police are guarding a hospital room. Inside the room we see Bullseye, now heavily bandaged, is annoyed by a fly. Suddenly the fly is struck with a syringe on the wall. In the last scene of the movie, we see Ben Urich at his office writing his latest story exposing the true identity of Daredevil. He is about to print it, but then out of respect for Daredevil's engagement he decides to delete the story. Then he exits the New York post office and sees Daredevil standing on the rooftop. Urich whispers, "Go get them," to which Daredevil nods his head and jumps off the building. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, put a like and share it. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more. Have a great day.